So today I was in physiotherapy and speech therapy. For physiotherapy, I had an experience with a 58-year-old female Afro-Guyanese patient that came with a complaint of shoulder pain, which started after she received back surgery and she had to lay on the right shoulder for a while. So she's been here for 5 weeks so far. She comes on Mondays and Thursdays, and she said that the experience has been great. She has improved a lot and the shoulder isn't hurting as severely as before. So thumbs up for that. And the next patient I had was a 4-year-old girl. She's Afro-Guyanese as well, and she's autistic. So she receives speech therapy and play therapy. So she has been improving every week with her sessions, according to her mom, and she's able to express better than she was before with each session. She was able to say words like blue, bubbles, down, and other words.
Good evening. So today I worked in physiotherapy and in occupational therapy, and I saw two very interesting cases. So the first one in physiotherapy, I saw a 21-year-old male who suffered an ACL tear to his right knee while practicing for his basketball game. He plays on a basketball team for Guyana. So his foot was in a cast for about 3 days, and then he had to go to GT for an MRI, and then he was referred to the clinic. So his experience in the clinic, he described his experience as great because he said that he's having fun with the exercises and he's getting to do everything that he cannot do at home, which is use the treadmill and still train in a sense. So that was a very interesting case. He's currently awaiting surgery and he is on the TENS machine. The second case I saw today was from occupational therapy. So this was a first visit to the occupational therapist, a first visit. And he was a 40-year-old African-American male that suffered a wrist fracture while riding an ATV in the interior, and he had an accident on the ATV. So basically he had a fracture in his wrist, and according to him, one of the bone was resting on his nerve. So basically he was having numbness to his first digit, his second digit, and his thumb. He's very concerned because he cannot hold his tools. At his occupation is a mechanic, so he cannot hold his tools. So that was another interesting case that I saw. Currently, we recommended some exercises for him to try at home, and he's still returned to clinic in 3 days.
A pleasant good day to you. So today we had a case in occupational therapy with a 44-year-old male. Now he came with the chief complaint that he was unable to move his fourth and fifth digit due to a mechanical injury that he would have had that caused him to go into surgery, and now it's really affected his life because he's a contractor and he does a lot of work with his hands. So he has been in occupational therapy for about 4 weeks now, and he said he has seen major improvements since he has started. He has more functionality of his right hand, the fourth and fifth digits. He's able to cut up greens, he's able to lift buckets and so forth that he was not able to do. So what the occupational therapy encourage him to do is to continue to do his exercises and to press on so that he can possibly gain the most in terms of his functionality of those digits. Additionally, for physiotherapy today, we had a 43-year-old female patient who would have had an accident last August, and it caused her to shatter her right femur. So she has some fixtures in, but she was only referred to physiotherapy in December, which was a downfall of the system. Nevertheless, since she would have started in December, she was on 2 crutches. However, now she's down to 1, so we could have seen major improvements for the few months that she would have been in physiotherapy. She is a vendor by profession, and of course that means she has to move about a lot. So she's really grateful for the improvements that she would have seen. Some of the exercises that she would have done, she would do knee extensions to her right, to both legs, knee extensions, hip raises, step ups, and high knee exercises. And today she started on the treadmill, which was very good. So those are my cases for today.
Okay, so this morning I had a patient, Miss SG, 43-year-old of Amerindian descent with a medical diagnosis of cervical spondylosis secondary to a pinched nerve. Now, one morning she woke up with severe pain and she couldn't turn her head. No medication was able to give her relief, so she had an X-ray and an MRI done. The findings showed that she had disc herniation, disc bulging, as well as C4 and C5 membrane compression and spinal stenosis. So this is a chronic condition, and a long-term goal was set of reduction of pain and a short-term goal to increase muscle strength. However, the patient did note that she believes that she can be cured because she has seen tremendous progress since being at the rehab center, and she noted that she has moved from a pain level of 10 out of 10 to now 3 out of 10 on her worst days and 0 out of 10 on her best days. So she's continuing to do her treatment at home, which would involve retractions 3 times daily.
This morning I saw Miss KG, a 58-year-old woman of African descent who was involved about 5 years ago in a motor vehicle accident in which she sustained injuries to her left hip, which was left untreated. About 2 years ago, she started experiencing this pain and visited multiple physicians. On X-ray, it revealed her diagnosis of osteoarthritis. So she was referred to a physiotherapist. At the rehabilitation center, she did hip flexion in a supine position, hip abduction and adduction in a lateral recumbent position, and also quad isometric, along with 10 minutes of cycling. Her experience thus far at this rehabilitation center has been great since she's able to improve on her muscle strength, she's able to improve her gait, and she's able to optimize her body's level of functioning. This morning, we also saw another patient who was involved in a worksite injury in which he sustained injuries to both his middle and index finger. However, only the index finger was fractured. We were able to witness him undergoing paraffin therapy.
Now, he also does hot water therapy at home, and currently his finger, the index finger that was fractured, is still swollen and he's unable to bend it at the knuckle that was fractured. But the patient hopes to regain full mobility of this finger because it is essential for his employment. Currently, his daily activities are impaired.
Today, Dr. Villarreal will be discussing community-based rehabilitation globally and in Guyana. These are our team members, and this is our table of contents. First, the overview of CBR globally. What is it? It's a strategy within community development for the rehabilitation, equalization of opportunities, and social integration of all people with disabilities. Its origin, CBR was initiated by the World Health Organization following the Declaration of Alma-Ata in 1978. Its aim is to help people with disabilities by establishing community-based medical integration, equalization of opportunities, and rehabilitation programs for disabled people. How is it implemented? By the combined efforts of people with disabilities, their families, disabled people's organization, other community stakeholders, including non-governmental organizations, and relevant governmental bodies, particularly those responsible for health, education, vocational, and social services. Most CBR programs are largely financed by overseas agencies, and plans are made to fit donors' requirements. Next slide. The movement reflects an international recognition that rehabilitation is a key aspect of the campaign for global health, and over the last 40 years, CBR has been used as a community development strategy to improve the lives of persons with disabilities within their community by working with and through local groups and institutions. Next slide, please.
The community-based rehabilitation in Guyana serves as a national strategy to address the rehabilitation needs of individuals with disabilities. And I'll be giving an overview of how CBR operates in the Guyanese context. So, seen on the next slide, we have the strategies from 2015 to 2019 of the NCD. But there are also other ways that the CBR is working in Guyana that I'll also mention. So first we have policy framework, or we have legislation that's been put in place along with governmental support. The main ministries that are helping would be Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Social Protection and Labor, and those are the ministries. So these ministries are focused on funding, coordination, and oversight of the CBR programs. We also see capacity building, and as seen on the slide, this enhances the skills of persons with disabilities to advocate for their rights and to perform efficiently. Outside of this strategic plan here in Guyana, in terms of capacity building, we also have training programs and workshops that are organized to enhance skills in areas such as disability awareness, rehabilitation services, etc. Then when we look at our service delivery, in Guyana, CBR services are decentralized, so meaning it's not all in one place. We have CBR services available in all 10 regions of the country. Then we also want to talk about the approach. The approach to CBR in Guyana is holistic. So we don't just deal with one type of people or one type of disability, but we look at all social, psychological, and economic barriers that are faced by individuals with disabilities. There's also partnerships and collaboration. So we have the governmental organizations as well as NGOs in the private sector that would be aiding in CBR. And finally, there's monitoring and evaluation. So legislation has been put in place, and now it's time to implement or ensure that the laws are implemented as intended. Next slide, please.
So now we'll have some case studies and some learning points of CBR. So the first case study, it was a case study based on the rehabilitation for children with disabilities, good practices and lessons from Save the Children Norway. So it focused on improving the outcomes on the lives of individual children
with disabilities, their family, community, and the institutions. And it was a study focused in Ethiopia, and what it focused on, or what it highlighted was that children with disability in this province, the disability could be corrected from things such as correcting poor nutrition, lack of prenatals, neonatal care, etc. So some points within this case study, it focused on correcting the misconception, attitudes, and practices towards persons with disabilities. Skills transfer, regular home visits were made to families with children of disabilities to teach them skills such as sign language, promoting family well-being, like allowing them to have skill training, support them emotionally, empower them with behavioral adaptation tools, etc., as well as safe and supportive school environment initiatives such as child-led disability clubs in primary schools. And here we have a case from this study with a 70-year-old girl who lived with her grandmother. She was the fifth child out of six children, and her grandmother locked her up in a cow pen for about 8 years because she was an epileptic child, right? And in this project, it allowed her grandmother to see that this was actually wrong, and her grandmother is now able to more take control of the situation, and the child is living way more comfortable. She was able to have medication for epilepsy, and she has been seizure-free for 4 years, and she can now more take care of herself. So some learning points from this CBR case would be building the capacity of the local community groups and linking them with different government sectors has proven to be an effective approach in strengthening the community response for the protection and rehabilitation of children with disabilities, among others. And now we'll go over to this next case.
So the second case study basically emphasizes the need for sustainable CBR programs. So since the war in Vietnam in 1975, there has been a significant increase of persons living with disabilities. In Dak Lak, Vietnam specifically, there is a comprehensive CBR program named the Community Managed Health Development, which is supported by the Medical Committee, Netherlands, Vietnam. So this is basically a Dutch NGO company. So it includes medical rehabilitation, inclusive education, social and economic support, and empowerment training, with the main aim of the program being to ensure that persons with disability receive the comprehensive support that they need so that they can better be included into society. So a study carried out in 2009, however, compared this comprehensive study to another CBR program, and there were some concerns about the sustainability of this CBR. So some of the issues highlighted, next slide please, would be the manpower and the skills. They were not sufficient because the staff would change their jobs very frequently. Also, they needed to have a collaboration plan between the Ministry of Health Vietnam as well as the NGO to ensure that this program carries on effectively. And while that plan was in place, it was not always implemented. And thirdly, financial-wise, most of the financial support was carried out by the NGO, with the government having little to no input. So some of the learning points that were taken away from this CBR study was, and some recommendations as well, would be to improve manpower by giving incentives or supportive policies, train teachers or provide a training module for teachers at mainstream schools, improving the M&E aspect of it, include local authorities and staff to join the CBR steering committee, let communities see the effectiveness and importance of CBR by showing the abilities of persons with disabilities, and apply for inclusion in the budget of the government and mobilize other sectors for resources.
The development of CBR in Guyana. Guyana's National Community-Based Rehabilitation Program was first organized in 1986. It would take 9 more years before CBR was officially registered on August 16, 1995 by Ms. Geraldine Hall, the CBR National Advisor. Income, welfare, housing, and human rights were the main areas the CBR program aimed to tackle. An Italian NGO, organizations such as the PCCP, PAHO, UNICEF, local organizations, businesses, and fundraisers were some of the source of funds. At its inception, CBR sites were found in 8 of the 10 administrative regions, only excluding 8 and 10. Major projects at the beginning of the century. 2 examples would be mainstreaming of children with disabilities to primary schools in West Demerara and development of disabled persons organization. At present in 2024, CBR is present in all regions of Guyana, now including Region 10, where my group is stationed. These centers offer support and vocational training to individuals with disabilities. Thank you for listening to our group.